Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic and phenomenal day. Happy Friday. Take a look again at Solana, see what's going on. This is some interesting price action. If you didn't catch already, there are some fundamental catalysts there, essentially shooting the price action up for Bitcoin back down. Now it's back up again. Kind of this little ripsaw standard stuff that you kind of see when these things happen. Now Solana, performing similarly, is also pulling back much harder than Bitcoin. So that leads me to believe we still see that poor pairing or that inverse pairing for Solana. And if Bitcoin does pull back by a small margin, we will see probably a larger pullback from Solana, at least for the moment. So just keep that in mind. That is a potential reality here for us. But again, there's also some divergences, or I guess you could more so say convergence, where we can see Bitcoin kind of looking more bullish than bearish on the smaller time frames. And the similar scenario here for Solana too. So again, what goes up with Bitcoin, and when Bitcoin goes down, just know Solana is somewhat inversely paired there and not looking great when Bitcoin pulls back. Okay, so having said that, let's quickly look at liquidity and go from there. You could hit the like button, comment below to get a chance. Love to hear it, and obviously help continue to grow the channel in any way, shape, or form. We do have a Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. A lot of fun over there. For our Discord here, we've been having pretty heated and funny conversations here today. Actually, there's no heat there. It's just more so interesting observations off the unique market that we're seeing right now. So all that being said, let's quickly understand there's still a heavy concentration liquidation between 136 and 138. We zoom out a little bit further, though, we will see a slightly larger concentration liquidation at that 149 to 150. I have that marked on the charts just so you can kind of see it a little easier, but the best way to understand it is that liquidation levels are commonly going to get swept, and the price will generally pull back or turn itself around once that happens. Okay, because again, market movers, market makers, whatever, they like to push the price in specific directions, then instantly take profit, and then the price turns around. That's usually the common characteristic. Either way, this is the upper liquidation level, the lower liquidation. Both areas are heavy. We have more liquidation on the downside than the upside technically, but we're slightly closer to the upside too, so there's that as well. Okay, now that we understand that kind of foundation of what's going on the back end, let's kind of take an unbiased opinion here and kind of take a look at the charts, kind of see where we're at. Because when we looked at this yesterday, we were still under the 20-day SMA. We are so far here today. So again, closing above 144, I would think is going to be potentially bullish here for us today. Because again, we're right there at that SMA. Once more, folks, it's not a definitive line in the sand. You don't cross, you don't close above that and it's instantly bullish. You want to look at other things too, but that's going to be a really good starting point. Once Bitcoin had that for itself as well, we saw the price slowly progress upwards. Solana's trying to find its ground. It's trying to hit its momentum, so to speak, but it's not doing that yet. We're still in this resistance range, so to speak, with all the volume here recent. Other than that, let's quickly look here, because this is, again, still somewhat of a bearish sign here. Being over the 20 SMA doesn't just push us into bull town, right? We can see that we're under 50 on the RSI, still kind of giving us inclination that we have a lot of resistance above us. We can also see money flow indexes pulling back, stochastic swinging up. It's kind of a mess. Honestly, there's no real positivity here. You could argue that the MACD convergence here is shifting the momentum, but the truth is that's mostly just happening because of how hard the price pulled back. Okay, so you got to recognize kind of that natural knee-jerk reaction, or just that the convergences on the MACD or stochastic, they'll give you some false positives in a lot of ways just based on recent time frames. If we hadn't dropped so hard so fast recently, that wouldn't be a big deal, but it's not really the best indication. However, still positive nonetheless. So we can kind of summarize the daily time frame as mostly neutral still, because we're under some key level resistances, but we have good momentum going into it. So the key takeaway is to wait for it to break that level, and then to essentially consider a trade in that direction once it's broken. That's the general concept. Okay. 4-hour time frame, we can see we're over 50 on the RSI, holding fairly strong. This is good. We can also see stochastic is starting to swing down after potentially hitting its top. So we might be topped out here for the moment. We'll see here soon, but the MACD is still converging, and these are generally positive signs. We're over the 20 and the 50-day SMA on the 4-hour. That's also a very, very good sign. Okay. So ultimately, we got some really good stuff on the 4-hour, kind of letting us know this transition is occurring, and that even though Bitcoin, while Bitcoin's doing, just say Bitcoin's doing well, ICP is not doing quite as well. While we see that kind of that combination, we're starting to see some little things starting to add up on Solana, letting us know that we might see more inclination for the price to go up than down. So again, daily time frame fairly neutral, 4 hours looking moderately bullish. 4-hour time frame looks good. Let's see what the hourly tells us here. And then what we want to look at here really quick is just a quick time price opportunity. So 145 is that average entry for our short. So keep in mind, folks, we're still in the green for the moment. So if you were watching this and you're like, should I close this trade? Honestly, it's getting close to a point in which it might be worth considering. But let's take a look here at the hourly. We're above the cloud, which is a good sign. We're over the local point of control here, which is roughly 143. That was supposed to have worked as a resistance, but didn't. And now we can see here, the lagging span is effectively free and clear of the price action, and the conversion line is barely above the baseline. So those are generally some favorable signs, okay? So for the most part, the hourly and the 4-hour give us some good indication that we are starting to pick up some momentum. We're starting to shift that dynamic. And then we're also seeing on the daily that we haven't broken some key level resistances. So me personally, until we close soundly above some key level resistances, it doesn't make a ton of sense to go too crazy with longs or to close a short, for example. But there's no other way around it. As Bitcoin is starting to increase its it's starting to show some good signs here on smaller time frames, just like Solana. I think there's more likelihood to have that continue throughout the week. But you got to recognize as well, too, later today, there's a decent amount of profit that could be taken from the traditional Asian markets, because they have a tendency of kind of pumping or dumping the markets depending on how well it was leading into it. Right now we have some green going into that. They could very well take some profit. So there's a lot of little things to factor in, folks. It's really difficult to gauge, but at this point, I would say until we see a solid closure at 144 or higher today, I wouldn't get too ahead of ourselves. But once again, we're still, the macro still isn't great. Okay? There's no other way around that, right? So we could catch some small short-term increases here with Solana, but I think it's probably best just to wait it out. Okay. Again, those are just my thoughts. I'd love to hear yours. Feel free to comment below, and obviously hit the like button if you could get a chance. Thanks again so much for being an awesome part of my life. I deeply appreciate it. And again, I'll go ahead and post our playout chart here on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. That'll be available for you there if you're curious. It looks a little something like this here when I post my charts. Future reference, those X's on the chart are generally going to be areas of interest for me to want to take either a long or a short once we've verified we've closed above or below those specific levels. So if you're not familiar with that, that's what that is. Thanks again. All right, folks, we'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a good one. Take care.